What's up, everybody? My name is Lee Shaner, and you're tuned into You Feel Me. You do a lot of podcasts?
No.
You ever done any
My
at all?
podcasts have been somewhat controversial. So.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that. I'm not going to dip into it. I like to
no,
avoid
it's just
controversy.
Like, it literally is just like fun to
Yeah.
getting to talk to them. So it's fun.
Yeah, you kind of enjoy fucking with people or what?
Of course.
Yeah. Where did that come from?
Societal norms. I'm trying to just break free out of that shit. So.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's funny. Like just to kind of spark the interest. Like so many different thoughts coming from
People get angry, huh?
Oh, they love I mean, if you tell someone something that they've known for so long and then you just go on the opposing side of it, they're like, no way.
Yeah.
And they group you with like the crazy people, which I don't mind. So
where do you feel like that interest in getting on people's nerves came from?
Not really caring about perception,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just
Mm-hmm.
I'm just out of that elusive state, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about me, the people that are around me, the people that I love, and then of course influencing and inspiring millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, while just being myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm on this platform playing basketball, but I feel like I have the ability and capabilities to go in different avenues and different interests, and kind of do what I love to do.
Do you feel like having millions of eyes on you that people kind of forget that you're a human going through the same kind of emotions and difficulties in life that they are? Like people start to two-dimensionalize you rather than three dimensions? Yeah.
I wouldn't really necessarily blame them. It's been happening for years. I mean, history has shown just, we idolize these specific people for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I mean, their talents make us extremely happy. They do things or they accomplish things that make us happy about ourselves as well. For me, I just feel like I enjoy being on this platform, but I also understand what responsibility comes with that.
Mm-hmm.
So the expectations that I feel like I have to meet for everyone else don't really necessarily apply to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of go around that and just figure out how do I remain authentic in everything that I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure I'm furthering the culture that I'm part of. So
there you go.
yeah.
That's a good take, man. I like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this lifestyle and the platform that you have. I feel like in order to make it to the level of talent that you have and the athletic ability that you have, in my head I would imagine like, oh, you've been this basketball robot since you were a kid or something. Like people have been putting you through the ringer since you were like a child or something. But I'm sure you have other interests that people don't even know about, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So like, well, first off, like let's go all the way back. Where are you born at?
Melbourne, Australia.
Melbourne, but you weren't there for very long.
No, I was there for 2 years.
Yeah, because Dad was playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Mom had me over there.
Yeah.
Shout out to her. God bless her heart. So.
Yeah. You guys only there for a couple years, and then you moved to where, New Jersey?
Yep. I moved to moved to the Bronx, New York, and then moved to Newark, New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
Then from Newark to West Orange, New Jersey, where my dad has been now for about 18 years.
And okay, so you moved to New Jersey by the time you're what, 6, 7, something like that?
Yeah, around that time. Yeah, I went
that's
to
like what you
kindergarten in
consider
Jersey.
home?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I got to make sure people know I'm from Jersey.
Yeah, right. And what was growing up in Jersey like? Dad was retired at that point already?
No. Oh, from basketball?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, once my mom passed,
Yeah.
my dad he was a single father raising 2 kids. So, he did everything to sacrifice in order for us to have the ability to do what we wanted to do.
Uh-huh.
Just gaining that ultimate freedom to be able to, go after what you want. And he instilled a lot of principles, me and my sister, and as well as my little sister now. But he was just, for me, just seeing a parent, in a single parent household be able to, change the relationship with my sister and me on a day-to-day basis to make sure that we were happy and make sure that we understood the important things in life. My dad became my best friend when I was 14 years old. The first couple years when he had to be really hard on me and you're going to be a better man than I am. And, I didn't necessarily understand it.
That's hard to grasp.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, parenting is hard. And I understand it. Just from not only being a parent now, but also seeing my dad raise, 3 kids now.
What was it that shifted at 14 that made him feel like a different person?
I just stopped being a jackass.
Yeah.
I really just stopped being one, man.
Yeah. What were you doing before that made you feel like you were being a jackass?
Just like not thinking before I acted, just really unsure of who I wanted to be. I'm still, unsure now, but more or less the uncertainty was something that scared me. Never was in touch with, my intuition, didn't really understand the importance of developing your mind and your body and spirituality. And, I was just there at that place, just lost, just like everyone else in middle school going into high school.
Do you think at that young age that had something to do with losing your mom so young? Like, were you upset at the world for a little while?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, there's like a missing piece. Yeah. There's a missing element in my life.
I mean, how do you wrap your head around that? She passed at 4 years old, right? Like, how do you cope with that as a child? What did you do?
Bro, you just gotta keep moving on. I mean, it's not really that concept of time. It's gonna keep going regardless. So, there's definitely times where I miss her just unbelievably. And then I get that reassurance from my dad and my sister and the rest of my friends and my family. I feel like they've all been in my life because of her. All just gathering around a family-oriented environment in order for me to be successful as a man. So.
You
it's
have
been tough at
memories
times.
of her still?
No, man.
You just hear them from other people?
Yeah, so it's like I get to hear different pieces from my grandparents and my dad and my family and my older family members, of course, but there's always that longful hope that, hey, man, I wish I actually knew her.
Right, the missing piece, man. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I think you've handled it well. Is your sister older or younger than you?
Older. I have one older sister and one younger sister.
One older, one younger. Does your older sister have memories of her?
No, not really.
Not really? Man,
no, man.
That's rough, dude.
Yeah.
So, as your dad's doing a great job raising you guys as a kid, or like when you're a kid by himself, but do you have a big support system of extended family on both sides that were helping out?
Yeah. Sure.
What other members of your family were important in your upbringing?
Definitely my aunts and uncles.
On both sides?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My grandparents live out in Port Orchard, Washington, so I used to go there for summer 6 weeks at a time, going to Seattle Mariners games, kind of seeing that culture out there. That's kind of how I started getting into skate, just literally being out there, going up in hills, trying to go over bumps, do ollies and stuff like that, taking that and going back to Jersey and then being able to kind of get on the board and do what I wanted to do.
Yeah. What's that difference like between Jersey and Washington when you were a kid? Was there some culture shock?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, well, my grandparents are Caucasians. My mom was adopted. So, being out there as an African-American kid with Caucasian grandparents, sometimes it was, there was an embarrassing feeling at times. Like I was unsure. There wasn't a familiarity with that aspect of my family as of yet. So it used to be just me and my sister going to all the family gatherings. And after a while, I mean, the love, expressed, it just goes way beyond just the color match of our skin. So,
but at first, you're the only black kid at this white family reunion,
for sure.
basically.
For sure.
Is there weird looks when you're walking around with your white grandparents, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, we've all grown up in that type of society where it's just been like, whoa, like what's going on over there? Just bring so many questions. And then, at the same time, you could feel that energy from different people. But after a while, you just stop caring. I mean,
what age did you pick up a skateboard then?
I would say probably like 9, 10.
And did you get obsessive with it?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, buying ramps, trying to figure out the wheels I wanted with trucks and the boards, and I mean, playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater on, just things that got me interested. And then once just this one kind of mid-humid day, I tried to do a ollie over a rock, and I ended up hitting my knee on another rock, and my dad just broke my board.
He said that was it?
They said that was it.
No. That's interesting. So your dad already knew. He was like, "Oh no, skating ain't gonna take you nowhere. It's basketball."
I wouldn't say, but it's just my dad. He just was unsure.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, that does like. Yeah, I used to snowboard, and my dad was like, "You're gonna fucking break your neck doing that," Pardon my French for.
No, you're good.
So, I would imagine though that like the way your brain is with basketball is probably similar to the way your brain was with skating, where like when you want to get good at something, you don't want to stop.
No, I didn't want to stop at all. Yeah. But once that happened, I was like, okay,
that was it. But was Tony Hawk Pro Skater a gateway into a lot of different music for you? Because that's what I hear from people. They're like, "Oh, I learned about all my music favorites from either skate videos or Tony Hawk."
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that, what happened for me was just radio, growing up and being at family cookouts, man. That was something that was just instrumental in my life, just being out in the Bronx, being out in Jersey, having cookouts at my house, and we're literally blasting the radio and
what
just hearing what's that song? Man, it's the perfect cookout song. I know my best friend Brett's gonna kill me for not knowing this.
Is it an oldie?
It's just Before I Let Go.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not Al Green, but it's the perfect cookout song. And then just hearing Mary J. Blige and You know, you got Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could just go down. Stevie Wonder, just hearing all those songs on repeat. Lauryn Hill was just instrumental, just driving back with my dad in the mornings, like 6 o'clock from New York, driving back, and you hear X Factor by Lauryn Hill. And so I was in this R&B phase.
That's like the greatest sad song of all time.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love that song. Like, I'll still tear up hearing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing to me now, being like a half generation past it, where everybody's sampling it now. Because now I feel like I have this story that I tell people where my dad, right, the first time I played him MC Hammer, You Can't Touch This, he's like, this isn't an original song. This is just a Rick James song, and he stole it. And I said, no, this is a brand new song. You've never heard this before. I'm trying to explain to him, like, he doesn't get it. And now kids are like, you know, playing the new Drake cut or whatever, and I hear the Lauryn Hill sample, and I want to be like, you whippersnappers, you don't know what
you don't know
this
anything
is.
about this,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Yeah.
So what else was doing it for you back then when you're like coming up as a kid? What music were you listening to? Anything that people would be surprised by?
No, man, my culture shock in music came probably when I was about 14 years old. I was at home, and the age probably varies just based on the timing of it. But I was watching Showtime, and you know, Rent came on.
Yeah, I read about this.
Yeah, bro. Like, people have no idea. I have like just this long affinity for just Rent, bro. Like, it really caught my eye and sparked a huge interest just from the diversity of just characters that were in there, and just the issues that they were discussing. It just was way beyond what I was probably able to comprehend at the time, but also from just an observation standpoint, as well as being able to react or you know, understand other people's issues. It just was like, it was a lot. And
it opened up some doors to like empathy and stuff like that.
For sure. I was already somewhat empathetic, but that right there, Rent was like, hey, this is something that I'm not even necessarily being talked to about. You know, it was just like homosexuality, AIDS, and you know, relationships, and then on top of that, you throw situational music in there, and the way it was directed, as well as just, you know, from scene to scene to scene, the specific actors. You know, of course, it was a Broadway play as well. So
this is like a live taping of the Broadway play? Is that
no, this is what I saw in the movie first. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. See, I don't,
no, you're
I've
good.
never seen it.
No, you're
I've
good.
Never seen Rent.
You're good, man.
Yeah.
But that's when I started getting into musicals.
Yeah. And so that opened the gateway to which other musicals? Like,
Chicago,
what begat what? Yeah. Moulin Rouge?
Nah, man.
That's the only other musical I know.
No, I would say that you know, what it did was it wasn't just around the musical kind of genre. It was like, now it became appreciation of musical instruments. Like, I had played the baritone. I had played the
You played the baritone?
Yeah, man.
Hey, I swear to God, 5th grade, I played the baritone for 1 year. But you know what? I grew up in the snow. And I said, I'm not lugging this thing back and forth in the snow anymore.
I promise you. I promise you. That was like one of the I got into a situation with my dad because of that. Like, I forged his. He makes fun of me all the time for it, because like I got a really bad ass whipping for that. But I forged his name, like, quitting band, and I wrote it on a piece of paper, like, Kyrie doesn't want to be in band anymore, and I signed his name, and I got in so much trouble for that because I didn't want to lug around the baritone.
Yeah, I know, and in hindsight, I wish it was huge, and I wish I learned to play it on treble clef rather than bass clef. So I wish that I would have just switched over to trumpet, because I'm like, I should have stuck with it. I really feel like all my friends that stuck with the trumpet, they could get work now whenever, because everybody always needs a trumpet player. You know what I'm saying?
But it's different techniques, though. You know what I mean? Just converting from the baritone to the trumpet. You know, but I always had just a great appreciation of the people in my like, from 5th grade until 8th grade. I went to Six Flags in Jersey, won the band contest, came in first place in jazz band and in regular band.
Playing baritone?
Yeah.
Wow, look at you.
Bro, I played the valve trombone. It was just kind of like just a lower, bass from baritone. So it was just like playing the same thing, but it was like, you know, just a trombone. So I played that in the jazz band. So
wow. So how many years was that? A couple years?
Yeah, like 4 years.
And then did you pick up anything after that?
Nah, man. That's like kind of when my life started taking a turn for basketball, just becoming like very serious. I didn't really have time to be playing music anymore. So I used to just try to hear the band playing the orchestra.
What were you into school as a kid? Very studious?
What kind of question is
that? I'm saying, like, some people like school, some people don't like school.
I mean, you know, you think about our flawed educational system. I mean, it's just like,
talk to them. My mom is a public school educator, so
Yeah,
I ride for the public school system. But I was privileged enough to grow up in an area that had a good. I grew up on an Air Force base, and so we had a great like diverse and good public school education system. But yeah, I know it's like a miserable thing out there right now. That said, I was still like, I loved school. But I had friends that hated school. You feel me?
For sure. I think I just use it as a vehicle just to get me where I needed to be and meet the people I wanted to be around.
Being that you're a relatively free thinker and you seem to like to read on kind of your own pace, like were you even as a kid reading stuff outside of the text you were being assigned?
For me, at that time, I think that I was trying to kind of be molded into following what the social norm was for being a basketball player, but also I knew that I had interest outside of it. So I knew that I was pretty good at basketball, but also there was a choice that I made at times where, do you really want to connect with other groups of people? Like, do you really want to be that guy that, you're just a basketball player? Do you want to fit into that status quo? My dad never allowed me to get within those limits, but there were times where I fought it. I was just like, man, do I really want to care about school? And I actually enjoyed it. Yeah. I actually enjoyed the education every single day. I miss it to this day. Like, being in conversations and being able to communicate on a higher intellectual level is something that's just so stimulating. I've enjoyed it since I was a kid, but there was a choice that I made at a very young age where I was like, I'm going to fight it forever. And then I ended up getting into Montclair Kimberly Academy, which was like top 3 in New Jersey. So that was the stimulation I needed. Another culture shock in my life, and I went from there into St. Patrick's, which was in the middle of the hood. Like, just now, I went from every single day, 75 minutes into class, just getting as much education as possible, to going into a school where, hey, our education is now dictated on some different important things. Like, we have to literally gradually go with what we're learning just based on the kids that we have in the school. So, just
right, because other kids are having trouble keeping up, so you're at their pace and not the other pace. Right. So, well, let's talk about that moment where life takes a turn towards basketball. What was it that made that difference? Was it a growth spurt? Was it things started clicking in your mind better, where your coordination was better? Like, what was it that pushed you that direction?
Well, I made a promise to myself.
Yeah.
That I wanted to go into the NBA in like 4th grade. Didn't know how I was gonna do it.
Yeah. Because I made that same promise to myself. It didn't work out the same. No,
I wrote it on a piece of sheetrock and put it in my closet, so I saw it every single day.
Oh wow.
It's just a constant reminder of what I was going after. That was a goal that I was going after for a long time, and I knew that there was going to be a certain amount of commitment that I was going to have to give, not just to myself but to everyone else, if I wanted to be able to say that I accomplished this goal. So that was something that I was always, aware of. So that was kind of when it started turning. Probably when I was 16 years old, that's when it really started becoming more of a business perspective, demanding from that. I was barely around my family. Was traveling all summer. Didn't really have time to be around my friends as often as I would have liked. I feel like I've just been in a job for like the last 10 years.
You feel like you missed out on some of your childhood because of that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was inevitable though. It was inevitable. And I feel like at this point in my life, I'm now trying to make that time back up.
How so?
By educating myself, man, and figuring out exactly what pieces of myself I've lost or just been unaware of for so long, man. It's literally been a commitment to being the best every single day. And, just a few things along the way have hampered that progression, which I've been aware of. Also meeting a few people, mistakes or, things that I just didn't understand about myself. And it's just an ongoing self-discovery, man. Self-actualization is everything that I'm after. So
yeah,
it's tough, man.
You really hard on yourself?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I love it though.
Yeah.
I'm welcoming to it now. Before, I think it was just like a fear, like of just fear of failure, fear of perfection. Like, hey man, like F it. Like if you're going to be that way, then just be that way, but also don't broadcast that onto other people by not being connected to your emotions and your thoughts and stuff like that, and not being able to realize that,
Yeah, because I'm sure if you're not like taking that time to be self-aware about how hard you are on yourself, it can come out in like ways like anger or something like that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
you start trying to figure out different mechanisms how to kind of suppress all that stuff.
Right. So working on patience with yourself and stuff like that.
Yeah, meditation now, just kind of just easing into it, man. Life is just so tough. Every day, man. Every day I wake up, it's like first off, I'm grateful for what I'm seeing when I open my eyes. I mean, this is like a freaking 4D art world around me 24/7.
Right.
And then you have like just different personalities and different people in this world, and coming from you at all different directions, and how receptive you are to them and how you react, and man, it's just ongoing. And then on top of that, you got to figure out yourself. How are you furthering things that you want to do in your life? And then trying to figure out, hey, how long have I been conditioned to be this way? Figuring out that truth, and then going from there. So,
the other interesting thing is, I have a feeling in being Kyrie Irving, people probably fucking look at you differently than they would look at someone else at all times of the day. So beyond just having to maneuver, trying to figure out yourself and your own self-awareness, you're also having to kind of be perhaps a little more protective with strangers or like people that are trying to come into your life. Like, what do they want from me, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I mean, that's in itself is just like, it's a concept. It's a fear that I feel like I've done a great job of just releasing. I have a great feel for just reading energy. I mean, it's like literally something that I've had since I was a kid. So I don't think I'm necessarily afraid to just be approached. I think that I kind of just know what the intent is for some individuals, and whether I have to draw it out of them or something like that. It's all part of life, though.
Right.
So,
And like we mentioned off camera, like one of the things that I've always appreciated you, this is like maybe the 4th or 5th time I've run into you in my life on various photo shoots and stuff, and you always roll super low key. It's like I always tell people, the first time we shot you, you rolled up to this place in Santa Monica by yourself with just a backpack, and we're like, this is like a rookie of the year, dude, and he's like by himself, like what the fuck? Yeah. And then every time since, it's always like just one person. You just roll very low key. Yeah. Well, how do you stay so humbled and grounded, bro?
Bro, my family would they would just kill me if I ever got outside of myself, man. That's like, I have a great amount of friends, but also I don't ever try to have them sacrifice their interests in order to protect me at all times. Like I enjoy being by myself and going out and exploring things. I mean, that's the best time to learn. But I do travel super low key because I feel like that's just it's a necessity for just being human, man. Like, I don't really need that many people around me at all times. Like, it gets overwhelming at times. Like, bro, I'm good. Like, but I do have like one best friend, Alex. He just comes with me in there everywhere I go. But when it's time for us to kind of separate, then I know he's an individual, I'm an individual. We love each other, so we just go our own way, man. It's fun.
Absolutely. At this point in your life, are you able to kind of like help your friends with their interests too and elevate their platforms as well? If they have like, oh, hey man, I'm interested in this. Like, okay,
That's exactly what I'm after. That's exactly what I'm after. Is being able to capture that content, as well as kind of grant some of that freedom in some of those doors of networking that aren't necessarily possible sometimes just by yourself. I believe in just collaboration with the people I love, and as well as others who are on this kind of frequency at just 24/7. It's always great to kind of pick their brain about it, and just trying to build a network that I could call my own, man. And it's just that pushing the culture to a next stage. I think a lot of authenticity out here in society is just lacking, man. And I like that they group our youthful generation as millennials. Like, you just group us all as just like, hey, you guys are different than the older culture. Like, you guys are, man, you guys are doing things different.
You're always lazy.
Like, technology is taking over your life, and it's just like, but like, that's what we grew up in. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're having to adapt, just like the older culture had to adapt to that particular time. You know, it's just parenting's different. Social life is different. Phones are different. Communication's different. So, just being able to adapt that. Financial status are different. It's like, man.
Well, and it's funny to get the finger pointed at us as millennials. I want to say, I know I might not look like a millennial, but I am technically born in the millennial year. I'm the oldest millennial. But it's like, baby boomers invented this shit. Now they're blaming us for it. It's like, yo, y'all motherfuckers invented phones. You invented the Atari, which begat the Nintendo, which got me on this PlayStation 4. Like, it's y'all's fault. Why are you pointing the finger at me? Like, so.
That conversation is like, it's awesome to have, based upon, like, I always love talking to older people just because everything is just like black and white. Like,
there's just
there's nothing. Like, they're gonna give it to you straight, and that's something I appreciate, because we're all taught to lie at one point or another in our lives. It's just like a condition, and figuring out like who is really being true. Like, older people, when they get to a point, they're just like, I'm done trying to hide myself.
Right,
Like I'm this.
Yeah.
I'm this no matter what. And this is what I'm giving you, and you better take it or leave it.
Right.
And if not, then I'm done with you. And it's just like, you know what? I like that. That's not something I'm getting every single day.
Right.
So
I was having that conversation with somebody much older than me the other day and they go, it was just so much easier when I was a kid. And I'm like, it's not that hard nowadays. Like the whole point is like, we just don't like assholes anymore. So it's like the easy way is like, if somebody says, don't call me this, don't call them that.
Yeah.
And,
no, for sure.
Don't be an asshole.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me that that transitionary time in your life where basketball takes over and you say you're 16, you're like traveling everywhere, you're away from the family. Like what's a day like for a 16-year-old kid that's excelling like that? How many teams are you on? What time are you waking up? How long are your practices?
Well, man, I was in the gym Monday through Saturday for about 8 hours a day, like just hooping and just traveling every weekend. I was on one team, New Jersey Road Runners, but I was also getting invited to different camps, so I got to see the best kids kind of around the world, or mainly in the United States. So I just started really competing at a high level, seeing where I matched up, coming home, bringing home accolades, and seeing where I ranked up, and then just over time, I just started getting higher in the rankings. My expectations started to change. I started receiving just different offers, and now it became like, okay, this is really like my life now. This is something that I want to commit myself to. So it was just like every day waking up, thinking about basketball, man. Like,
it seems like early on in your career too, particularly like the high school, college years, like people looked at you kind of like an underdog, like you're from this like small area, your name wasn't really getting out there like that, but then you would go in and kind of embarrass people. Like, do you like being the underdog?
I mean, that concept in itself, I've never been. I don't even know what that's like.
Right.
Like, from my perspective, not dismissing anyone else's perspective on how they view it, but it's just like it really didn't matter. Like, I knew what I was capable of. I knew that, there was a certain fear. Like there's a certain fear of like, okay, you put that concept in other people's minds, like, okay, this guy's an underdog. He's really gonna come at me. Like, little do they know, like, bro, I already feel like I'm better than you. So
You're
it's
confident
like
in your own
I'm like, hey,
yeah,
like coming into this, I've worked my tail off to get here. I've played against better people than you, or if you're the best person that I'm playing against, I still, for that fact, am appreciative that we're even doing this out. Like, and that was when kind of basketball became more of like a love as well as a business on the low side of it, of just like, I appreciate the competition, the high level every single day of just demanding yourself to be the best on the court at all times. Like, that's when it started changing. Yeah.
Tell me about rituals. Do you have any like superstitions and stuff like that?
I used to call them like superstitions, but it's like just like a routine now. Just like it's just like Well, so I used to like wear like double bands and double socks, different pairs of socks, like tie my shoes up a certain type of way. Used to wear a mouthpiece, used to wear like a sleeve, or just different things to kind of psych myself into not being fearful of what I'm about to go into, like of how to just throw on all this gear as much as possible. And then after a while, I just started shedding all that. Like, man, I'm just be me, man. Like, I'm gonna just go out there. The battle's gonna be what the battle's gonna be. Yeah.
So within that, like talking about routines and stuff, I have to wonder, being someone like you who seems so thoughtful and self-aware, does basketball and particularly practice help you kind of like get out of your head for a while, like having to just take your 1,000 shots a day or whatever, or like do your reps? Like, does that help you kind of like get out of your head and relax for a bit?
Because it is definitely one of the most peaceful places for me, because it's something that I've called home for a while, of being able to focus on skills and as well as mental preparations, just being so imaginative of the situations that I'll be going into. That's like the perfect place. When people see a finished product, I think what fails to be realized at times, not all the time, is what it took to get that product, and how long it took, and how diligent, maniacal this person or thing is in order to be this finished product. When I'm on the floor and, I just start doing some things out on the floor, I practiced for however many hours. I mean, I remember when I went to Duke and I learned about the 10,000 hour rule. Malcolm Gladwell, I was like, Gladwell. So when I learned about that, I was like, have I logged in 10,000 hours? Like, have I? And but by the time I was a freshman, I was like, I for sure have logged in 10,000 hours. Like, I I probably logged in more than that by the time I was 18 years old. So I at that point I was like, I'm an expert in my sport. Like I know I'm an expert. I know that there's still other experts out there that I can learn from, but I know that I want to be with other experts, and that's what I started seeing like once I would decide to go from college to NBA.
But is basketball something that can ever be mastered? Because 10,000 hours is master of craft. You know what I mean? Like, can you master that craft, or can someone always get better?
That is something that intuitively you got to know. Like, it's just how if you've mastered your capabilities or you're aware of your capabilities and you feel like you've done it at the highest level, then I feel like that's the purest form of mastery. Like, you know, you're just at this point, it's literally about like yourself and what you're capable of doing rather than, hey, let me prove this to someone else that they're saying that I cannot do this based upon whatever ideals or whatever they say that you can't do. It's just like,
what's it feel like when everything's firing all levels and that mastery comes out and you're just like, you know, he's heating up. Nah, brother, I'm on fire. Like, how does that feel in a game when you're just like, man, you catch that Holy Ghost and everything's going right?
That's where the cohesion comes at its piece, like between being at home of working on your game and then being able to show, you know, kind of the mastery out on the floor. It's just like peaceful, man. Like, and that's when you just allow your emotions just to flow. So it's definitely a tough place to be in, because at that moment you're like, I want to be in this all the time. And that's where greatness comes in. Is like, one player can do something great like one time, like, or 2 times or 3 times, but how consistent are they of just remaining kind of in that mind frame or you know, physical presence of like, I'm gonna be a master no matter what it is. And you know, you can have 5 great games and then have one kind of so-so. And we live in a society now where it's like, in anything you do, it's like bash, bash, bash,
people
bash.
Only
you got something
that
to make up.
That one shitty game.
Yeah, that's just the world we live in, man. So
when you're having one of those great games, like when do you start to get the feeling of like, oh man, I can't miss right now? Like, is it when you're taking them warm-up shots, or is it like halfway through the game? Like, you know what I mean?
Man, it's just so many different levels, bro.
Yeah,
like, it's just,
I feel you.
Yeah, you know, like I don't want to say the regular season and like it loses its value, but it's like, you know, we play 82 times a year. So, you know, I think that there's like some importance for different individuals of like how they view that. You know, some people love going extremely hard in the regular season, and then they get to the playoffs and you're like,
it tapers off or
whoa,
something.
man, like, well, you were like completely different. And then, you know, it just gets tougher. And that's when I enjoy playing the most, is when it starts getting tougher, because now you have to go dig even deeper past just your talents. Now it becomes more of a mental strategic game, and that's something
like, that pressure.
Oh yeah, it's just like, now I got to make moves based upon strategy rather than in the regular season. It's just like, all right, like a team's doing this particular thing, okay, like they're not going to do it the whole game. It's just, you know, they're waiting. Everyone's waiting to get to that moment, and I've had the luxury of playing on a great team with some great players. So being in those situations, I was afforded to be able to experience it, learn from it, grow from it, and just make my own experiences.
Yeah. What do you do when you're not concentrating on basketball? What things do you enjoy right now?
Just learning still how to exist within our societal limits, man. Like every single day, learning about, you know, of course, becoming more self-aware, but as well as educating myself in things that I feel like I was lacking, you know, in my previous years, or I didn't get a chance to learn about. There's so much change going on, as well as a lot of conditioning that I'm breaking free of, man. You know, just emotionally, mentally, it's been strenuous of being in a particular place where I feel like I can't really escape from, because I'm afraid of you know, perception or losing a piece of myself, or not necessarily knowing where to go past this point.
Right.
You know, it's just knowing that I'm just a little bit different than everyone else and accepting that.
Well, what kind of texts are you reading that are helping you get past these conditionings?
Man, I just read The Secret.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then
that's like positive thought, positive reinforcement.
Law of Attraction. And then there was another book by Randy Pausch. It's called The Last Lecture.
Oh yeah, that's the guy that had cancer, right? Yeah, I've read that as well.
But as well as a few Osho books. Have you seen Yeah.
The Wild Country or whatever.
Wild Country, as well as Jita Krishnamurti. These guys were just specifically Osho and Jita Krishnamurti. Man, I read Total Freedom by Jita Krishnamurti and listened to a bunch of podcasts, as well as listening to a Bruce Lee podcast where his daughter does a shout out to her and her friend that do that podcast about thoughtless action and just being more aware. And man, it's just every day just trying to learn about. There's just some things that are unexplainable, esoteric things that I'm just like, wow, this is just unbelievable.
Man, I haven't read or listened to enough of Bruce Lee stuff, but I always use this one Bruce Lee analogy when people are telling me stuff. I'm like, yo, I'm pointing at the moon and you're staring at my finger. You know, like you're missing the big picture. Have you heard him say that? Like, don't point at the moon and stare at the tip of your finger. Like, I love that quote. So what music has been inspiring you lately, other than Rent?
Other than Rent? Oh man,
Hamilton? No,
I haven't even gotten a chance to see Hamilton.
You haven't seen Hamilton? I feel like, hey, Lin-Manuel, you're sleeping over here, man.
Yeah, I got
some tickets.
Man, I'm all over the place.
Last time we spoke, you were fucking with a lot of R&B. I feel like. Yeah. We talked about like Ty Dolla $ign. Actually, last time I seen you was right when The Life of Pablo came out, which was a controversial record. Now there's another controversial record out of his. Have you heard the new Pusha T?
Nah.
It's good. It's good. Black Thought got a new record out too. I don't know. What have you been listening to? Tell me. There's got to be something other than podcasts.
Nah, man. Literally just like alternative.
Oh yeah, like what?
Yeah, if you see on an alternative.
What is alternative?
That's what I'm saying. But alternative is like, I love just the kind of random artists and collaborations that are an alternative. You know, it's just like you'll catch like, I'm trying to think of it because I have all these. I don't really necessarily memorize all the artists, but it's just like
I can't remember song titles ever.
And I'm trying to think. I can't think of it on the top of my head.
I always talk about this concept of like alternative, or similarly in the rap world, people say underground, but now with like streaming platforms, it's so wild because it almost seems like there is no such thing as underground. Like underground or alternative has almost become this aesthetic, whereas people that are underground or alternative now would have been like legit famous by 90s standards. You know what I mean? Like when you're getting tens of millions of streams on Spotify or Tidal or what have you, like are you really underground, or is that just like your style? You feel me?
I mean, I'm into everything, man. But my favorite artist is probably J. Cole.
Hey, shout out J. Cole.
Yeah, for sure.
His new record's tight.
Like, for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, of course, I still listen to Chris Brown. Of course, I still listen to Tank and R&B. You started going into Dej Loaf.
Oh yeah, I like Dej Loaf a lot.
But you know, just you also have to have that wave of like pop. And I feel like, you know, Quavo and Offset and Migos, like they're doing a great job of just collabing. And Cardi B, like you just hear all of them just collabing. You know, Dave East, and you know they're like, they're like. They're taking the authenticity that they felt has been lacking for years within the hip hop culture, the pop culture, and now they're forming their own, you know. Like,
I think Migos has been one of the most influential rap groups of the last decade.
Oh, yeah,
easily.
For sure.
Like everyone took the triplets and ran with it after Versace got popular, and like, you know, the initial like backlash that they received from like the hip hop heads of like, oh, this is so dumbed down. It's like, nah, that shit is technical as hell, man.
It's produced really well.
Yeah, produced really well. It's very hard to rap like that, man.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, but they do it. They're super talented. A lot of the artists today are like super talented. Yeah. I mean, you got like Shawn Mendes out like just streaming, and people are going crazy over there.
What are you in New York for?
I'm just here, man.
Just chilling.
Yeah, my daughter comes in a few days.
Yeah.
So, you know, and of course I live like 40 minutes out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Is New York an inspiring place for you?
I'm now getting to see the different perspective of New York. I haven't really stayed in New York as much as I have now. Usually I would be in Jersey somewhere, you know, kind of staying close to where my dad is. And then, you know, for this time I've like just strictly been in the city. Yeah. You know, and just enjoying myself, like just really, you know, going to different restaurants, you know, just seeing different clubs as well as, you know, different just social hours, seeing what's going on. My sister lives, you know, in Jersey too, so she'll come over to the city as well. So I'll see her often, and my family, you know, my friends that I grew up around are always around. So
is food a passion? Going to different restaurants and stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what do you like
sure.
to eat?
I like Italian.
Yeah.
Regular. I mean, I try to get a.
Are you vegan now?
I have practiced some vegan principles, but
Yeah.
no, I'm not all the way vegan.
I feel like you can only be like, you got to practice them all or you're not a vegan.
I mean, yeah, that could be that could be debated by everyone. Like, yo, you're not a true vegan. I'm like, well, I could still practice some vegan principles. You know?
Well, because I was gonna say, being a vegan might make it harder to go find out new restaurants. You know what I mean? Might put some stipulations on that.
No, but they're like, I feel like restaurants now or food in general is like making an adjustment.
Yeah, they make it a little easier now. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, shout out to Beyond Meat too. Beyond Meat is like
the Beyond Burger.
Oh yeah,
is it good?
Yeah,
I haven't tried it yet.
Man, they're doing it.
Made of beets, right? If you guys don't know, it's made of beets and it actually bleeds and sizzles when you cook it, just like meat. But it's like
no, it's like it's not just beets. It's just like a lot of protein.
Stuff.
Just a lot of protein mixed into one, and they form these like unbelievable burgers. And it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't probably mentally doesn't give you the same effect of like, oh, I just ate 2 burgers. Like I ate 2 Beyond Burgers and I probably could still eat a little bit more. But they're like, they're really healthy.
It tastes good though?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, if you know how to season you know what you're doing, you gotta do something.
You gotta get some Lowry salt on that shit or something. Yeah. What else? Clubs. What's it like going out to the clubs as a young man like yourself?
It's low key.
Yeah, it's low key. Easy.
It's low key.
Just buy a table, go chill.
Yeah, man. It's like that in itself. You got to just see it for what it is. Like you just go in there in a public place to listen to some great music and drink some alcohol if you're of age.
Yeah.
And kind of enjoy the presence of being able to probably dance around a little bit with friends that you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Experience the environment. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. It's been going on for ages, but as long as you're just aware of what's going on around you, like even if you're gonna indulge in a ton of alcohol, just like, man, just enjoy the environment. I feel like some other times when people go to the clubs, they're there for the complete wrong reasons. And of course the perception is like, oh, he goes out. Oh, he actually does. Normal people. Well, yeah. I mean, it's okay
you probably don't go out and get faded though, right? Like,
you can't do that.
Like you're too much of a control freak for that. Not control freak, but like you enjoy being in control of yourself, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to lose. I'm not trying to lose everything just doing all that, but it's fun for sure.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we've all been in that phase of our life of.
Oh, I was in that phase for many years of my life.
I mean, hey, it's part of growing up. Those phases are like you just rage, man.
That's true.
You're young, and then after a while, it's like, man, I don't know if I could do that 2 nights in a row.
Right.
I don't know if I could do that 3 nights in a row, but when you're 21, 22, you're like,
all bad.
Oh man.
Yeah. So coming off injury, coming off surgery, getting back into the flow of things, like what's the schedule like nowadays? How much rehab are you having to do? Is it taking up a lot of time?
Nah, man. This is like a unique summer for me. This is probably my first summer in the last probably 8-9 years where I've actually had time to myself of really getting ready for the season, next season. So, I have my movie coming out June 29th, Uncle Drew. So, we have the premiere here in New York and just really, really preparing myself for what's to come for next season, as well as making sure that, I'm not so boxed in to, what's possible out there. I think that for a while I was like afraid to like network and, meet people just based upon kind of self issues that I was dealing with, just like, hey man, it's awesome to collab and meet people and like pick their brain about things they're interested in, because that value goes a long way of just having great relationships in different industries. So that's just what I'm about, man.
Does the movie stem from that, from reaching out and networking and meeting a lot of different people? Were you able to build a crew that way? Is that?
Oh yeah, for sure. And as well as just being aware of where the culture is going. I feel like now we're in a great place as our young generation of being able to collab on different things and things that we feel passionate about. My main focus is to have our generation, as well as majority of the generation, to realize that we are the majority. Like we literally represent what we want and believe in. And even if we may differ in certain things, I feel like there should never be a lack of transparency or understanding of what a person has gone through or how they label themselves or anything like that. I'm always about just that full acceptance, man. And hey, I really don't mind whatever you particularly believe in, as long as there's that ultimate respect. And hey, I see beyond just this color and skin and what I label myself or identify myself as. You know, as long as I could see past that, then I feel like, you know, peace and harmony could be achievable, man.
There you go, man.
Seems like a longful goal, but it's definitely possible and feasible. That's all I'm after, man.
Fingers crossed. Well, shit, man. I'm glad that we got to sit down and do this. I fully accept everything you're working on, and I'm just like glad that we got to do this,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't know. We don't need to tell the people where to find him online or anything like that. It's just like Google at Kyrie Irving, and you can see where he's at. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram and all that shit. I look forward to watching you play some more next season, man. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been really just a pleasure from my unique perspective of getting to watch you grow as a human and see you once a year and you kind of staying the same. Like it's dope.
Thanks, man.
So yeah, man. Thank you guys for tuning in to You Feel Me. That was Kyrie Irving, and my name's Lee, and that was it. Thanks for tuning in to You Feel Me. If you want to hear more, go to skullcandy.com/music. Want a pair of headphones like the ones we used for today's episode? As a special thanks to our listeners, we're giving you 30% off your next Skullcandy order with the promo code MUSICYOUCANFEEL. That's MUSICYOUCANFEEL. Subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app now to stay up to date on our latest episodes.